Hi folks, welcome to Radio FM 88 Australia. My name's Jeffrey Shaw. We're broadcasting from Springwood in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. It's currently 7 o'clock, just gone past 7 on the east coast of Australia, with Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, ACT, and 9 o'clock for our friends over the UK. Friends in New Zealand, and 10 o'clock, of course, in our UK. Tonight we're having a really interesting conversation. It's about Reiki, but further ado, I'll take you all the way down to Julia. Yeah.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of Dreaming the New Dream. We have a very photogenic pair with us on the right side. I think the most photogenic pair on our show so far. We're delighted to welcome Maria T DeVivo and Balint Paul, both Reiki Masters, both doing Reiki since 2007. Isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah.
But they haven't met before today. And they are from different countries, from Colombia and from Hungary, but we're lucky to have them in Brisbane. Welcome to our show, both of you.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Great. So let's just start off with the basics. Reiki, I understand, is a form of energy healing. I've enjoyed it, but just for our audience, could one of you explain what Reiki is, please?
Or do you want?
It's up there.
No one wants to say. Well,
Maria's the teacher. Go for it.
all right. Well, Reiki is a very gentle technique of energy healing, where you lay on hands on the person to help them balance their whole body, their physical, emotional, and mental levels. So you can really help the person at any level that they need rebalancing. And it's very gentle. It doesn't interfere with anything. The person usually experiences relaxation. They feel very calm and peaceful at the end of the session. And the process happens very subtly as the sessions go. So in one session, the person may experience a lot of relaxation, but some conditions may require more than one session, and that's when you can perceive a very permanent, relief and healing.
Balint, have you discovered Reiki in 2007 when
Yes.
your dad was overseas and was ill, and you were looking for a way to help him?
Yes, that's right. It was a bit devastating time for me, learning that my dad was in a tricky situation. And the worst part was that I couldn't see and be with him in person, So I had to find something, I had a drive to find something. And I looked on the internet, I looked in books, and finally I discovered Reiki. And right from the beginning, the book that I started to read, it took me to heaven. It gave me hope. And after reading the book, I looked into where should I go? Where could I go to learn this? Because obviously you don't learn Reiki, or you don't get initiated to Reiki from books or from tutorials. You have to have a master, a person. Master, anyone can be a master. I'm not using this word as, just giving a title to someone, a higher being. No, it can be anyone, but someone has to initiate a person to Reiki. So I find my master, luckily. It went very, very smoothly. Right from the beginning, the first initiation was amazing, incredible experiences that I had on the first day. And I progressed in 2 years, got to the master teacher level. It took me, that was for initiation. That's the way she does Reiki teaching. And it was wonderful, because it gave me the tool that I was able to help my dad from a distance. And we all experienced the benefit. He experienced the benefit on his side, and I, for my personal development, it was tremendous. So it's incredible.
Thank you for that, Balint. I'm actually quite interested because I know you're a mechanical engineer, and Maria's introduced Reiki as being sort of hands-on energetic healing. You said it was amazing the first time. What was different before and after the session for you?
To tell you the truth, of course, my background is in mechanical engineering, but right from the very early days, I can tell that I was really into anything that's outside of that structural life. I just didn't know terms. I just didn't know names. I couldn't put labels on any of it, but I had my own beautiful experiences, and it was not at all foreign to me, not from the beginning. It was like coming home, to tell you the truth. It's to me, it's interesting. I love engineering. I worked with beautiful companies, blue chip companies that gave me tremendous amount of knowledge, but at the same time, I know that that's not all that are there. It's our life can be a lot more broader, a lot more colorful. And I'm so lucky that I am experiencing Reiki every day of my life, as walking my spiritual path. Not just I'm not labeling just having a professional life, but experiencing something else. And this spiritual journey gives me incredible experiences, and I love every second of it.
I can really relate to that. I think growing up in a sort of normal, plain vanilla society, which doesn't talk about energy or doesn't acknowledge it or accept it, or even reference to it. Certainly when I discovered Qigong, people doing it at the park, it was like for me, yeah, this is it. It's been missing. You didn't really know it was missing until you turn up. And Jeff, I think that was what I was saying with this. This is the next generation that can work both with energy and with mechanics, and it's wonderful. So I'm just going to switch through to Maria, but just a quick shout out to the beautiful folk that have joined us, Helen Reese and Alan Saunderson, Alexandra. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you join us. Feel free to hop on and put in any comments and questions. Maria, to you, what Reiki itself, where does it come from, and how did you find it?
Well, I found it it was a co-worker I had back in the day who actually introduced me to Reiki. I was not at my best, I was feeling a little off, and she noticed and she offered to help me with this technique she knew about. And at the beginning, I didn't know what she was doing. I was open to this experience, but I didn't know what she was doing. And I realized that, there was something I needed, and it was very helpful what she was doing. It was very helpful. So I wanted to explore what this was. And then she took me to her teacher, and her teacher then let me experience it even more. And then I decided to learn. And from there, I basically was there every week. She had Reiki shares, and they were weekly Reiki shares, and we were there every day. And so what happened to me was that slowly and very gently, I started opening up to my own skills, and my consciousness started opening up. And things that I thought were okay, I started realizing that were not that okay. So, I started seeing things that were happening in my life that were not in the right place. So the more I could see, the more I could realize that there were things that I needed to rebalance and harmonize in my life. So it was like this opening gateway that helped me start opening up my intuition, my awareness, expand my consciousness, and then started to see the things that were out of balance in my life. So it was a gentle process. It was not like a sudden thing that happened to me, but very gently it started helping me moving forward in my spiritual path and rebalancing my life. And so started seeing things that I didn't even know were not, in in the right place, let's say.
Mm.
Yeah.
I still remember my first time when I think somebody offered me Reiki as well, just like with Maria, and it was like, okay, what do I do? What's happening? And they put me on a bed, and then they just sort of set up my head and gently held their hands in different positions to support my body, and then energy was flowing through. So it was interesting for me because it was like, usually get taught if you need energy, you've got to go and eat, or you've got to rest, or maybe
Eat
go
chocolate.
swimming, eat
Oh,
chocolate.
yeah, chocolate.
So this was kind of pretty revolutionary. What was it like for you the first time? What was it like for you the first time, Jeff, that you did Reiki?
It was actually here in Brisbane. Actually, several of us had set up the community centre for personal growth at Lillian Avenue in Salisbury, and this lady turned up clear, about 6'2", this woman, and she was Reiki Master, and she decided that the management need to be brought up to speed with Reiki. So over a couple of weekends, she did Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and Reiki 3. Pretty profound. At the same time, anyone who's had touch for health or any forms of massage, really, isn't it? Anything where there's someone's put your hands on you. I mean, even beauty therapists or even a hairdresser, particularly a hairdresser. I found the hairdresser when they go and wash your hair and their scalp and all that stuff, and you get the tinglings all going through your body. It's very rare in our society these days for people to give hugs or touch. So when you get someone who steps up to the plate and offers Reiki as a form of hands-on healing with a bit more energetic pattern to it, you jump on board, isn't it? I mean, who doesn't? I mean, even with its reflexology on your feet. But I mean, head massage, my scalp, whatever. But it was really, really impressive. It was about 25 years ago, to be perfectly frank with you. And I think we all came away pretty, very much living by the experience. But more importantly, when you put people together in a little small group, I think there was 8 of us. You build relationships with people, don't you? And they're long lasting, isn't it? It's quite a surreal position to be in, Julie, when you get put in that. I'm quite sure the same goes for you when you do your qigong in the park, and then you step up and you give them one-on-one training and teaching about position and movement. It's really nice to have someone touch you.
Yeah, it's deeply personal. I have to admit, I also did the first course, and but then I was, the intellectual me, like, right, I've got to know what kind of energy I'm letting in. And when they start doing the initiations, and they're drawing symbols and kind of going, oh, what kind of magic is this? What was it like for you, Balint and Maria, sort of getting those initiations? What kind of thought processes or constraints or limitations did you have to overcome to allow yourself to accept and sort of roll with that?
Okay. Well, for me, it was really straightforward. I was just very open and curious, and I was really happy to be able to do it. I wasn't questioning anything. I was really open to receive, and I think that was good, because what can happen when someone is in resistance and in fear, perhaps, is that the initiation could be a little what would be the correct word? And so some people that I have seen receiving their initiation, and they have a little bit of resistance, and you could feel that. When the person is open and just open to receive, things flow a lot easier, and the experience might be a lot more powerful. So for me, it was quite straightforward. I was really open and excited, and I was ready. So that was easy. Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I was so looking forward to it. From my story, it says a lot that I was really looking for ways to get in touch with my father and help him. But probably not just that, I'm very, very open. So if you come to me with an idea, I take it on. I'm not saying that crazily. of course, I have to evaluate, but I'm really keen for knowledge, learning more, and like a sponge. I feel that like I'm a child right now, and I want more. Please bring it on. So it's a very organic and very dynamic relationship with me, at least, and I'm really loving it. Really.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you're gonna take the course, it's good to find someone you trust, because then that allows for you to really be relaxed and open. And so I find that there's always this connection between the student and the teacher, and the better that connection, then the easier everything goes. So I think that was a good thing. I already trusted my teacher when I took the course.
Yeah, I think that would count for a lot. I mean, I think I can hear, you know, Maria, you are clearly going, give me energy, give me whatever it is I'm going to have. I'll take it.
I know. Yeah, it was kind of like, I want it.
It's like going, I believe this is going to work. just initiate me.
Exactly.
Whereas for me, it's like, okay, what is this? Where's this coming from? You know, my academic brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I only did one course, and I have the book, but it was something like, just for our audience, if they haven't come across it or haven't tried it out, is what Reiki itself comes from Japan, and there was a Buddhist monk who channeled energy from a sort of pool of healing, universal healing energy, and Reiki basically just connects to that stored pool of healing energy.
Exactly.
And you kind of do the Leonardo da Vinci, you just reach up your little finger and you connect into the cloud, the healing with the Reiki healing vibrations versus the other ones. And then you become a conductor for it. And then if you've got the right initiations and gateways, it'll flow through you. Is that right? I'm kind of just guessing and making it up. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any clarifications Maria wants to check it?
And this Buddhist monk you mentioned, he was Japanese, yes. This was part of one of his. He was taking one of like a retreat in a mountain in Japan, and this is when the Reiki came to him. Basically, kind of he received this technique and he started applying it to the people around him. And initially he would only treat the head and the shoulders. So the whole body technique developed over time, and it was one of his students, the one that brought that to the actual technique, you know. So the founder of Reiki, he only used to do head and shoulders to begin with. And you say it comes from Japan. The Reiki as such, as we know it today, came from Japan, but we are all healers anyway. We just need to perhaps get some help to open to our skills, but it is the same healing that we all have the capacity to let's say, channel through our own selves. And so, yes, the original technique came from Japan, but I wouldn't say that it's strictly from Japan, you know what I'm saying? Because it's something we all innately have in ourselves. So we just need to kind of get like that initiation that helps us open up to our skills.
Yes.
So do we still have Maria and Balint?
No, something happened there.
Do we still have their voice? Can you still hear us? Helen, if you can hear us, can you just...
No, they need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. What happened there?
Yeah, they just dropped out. So we're just going to continue talking, and I'm just going to hope that Maria and Balint, who are running off the same computer, can be heard by our audience. But okay, so Maria, yeah, in terms of I'm interested to hear what you're saying about the Japanese monk who originally started it, just touching the hand and the head, because some of the holds are actually like on the tailbone, like in craniosacral and around the hips, to fill up the lower chakras. Is that right?
Yeah, so sorry, I'm looking at the camera. Sorry. So through the head and the shoulders, he could treat the whole thing. So then he would check what the person needed, and then he would possibly go to that specific area of the body. But through the head and the shoulders, he already knew what the person needed, because everything is here, really.
Yeah. So that's like a scan. You could actually scan.
Yeah.
So can you guys do that? Can you scan?
I do that with my hands. I scan with my hands.
And what information do you get from your patients' bodies?
I can see where there's most need of healing when I scan with my hands.
So like a gaps of energy or different vibrations. If you use adjectives, what is it?
It's different for each person. Each person has a different. So you could sometimes feel a very spiky kind of energy. Sometimes you feel like a wave, boom, boom, and you know that there's something going on.
Yeah, like a jet ski.
Yeah.
Yep, I get that.
Sometimes you don't feel anything.
Yeah, and then what?
And so if you don't feel that, you obviously that person is quite depleted.
Yeah.
Quite depleted. Some people are really coming to you when they are like on empty.
Yeah. So
and
they need a top up.
Oh yeah, and that takes a little while, because imagine if you run out of fuel in your car and your car stops.
Stuck. Yeah.
To get it running again, it takes a while. So it's the same with our bodies. With our bodies and our energy. So I always tell my clients, please do not wait until the last minute. Because it happens, people go, oh, I can do it. But then they come when it's like, whoa, they're already in a crisis, and it's a lot harder to get them out of the crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than, having them come when they actually start feeling that they really need some help.
Mm-hmm. And Balint, what are you able to? What do you pick up from your? What do you notice when you're focusing in your sessions on your clients?
Most of my sessions are distant healing, and or sometimes not just healing. Sometimes I do feel vibration or heat, lack of heat, coldness, but I'm not focusing on it. Most of the time I'm trying to focus on just channeling, and that was a big lesson for me. Right at the beginning, that when I started doing Reiki, that I did not use Reiki the right way, and the first 5 sessions that I did, it took me days after every session to recover, because basically I was just giving away all of my life energy without knowing what I was doing. But after probably the 6th session, I learned that it takes my intention of what I want to do. It's not just healing or channeling Reiki or energy, but I have to be conscious that yes, I'm not channeling or giving away my own energy. Sometimes I do feel lack of energy or problems here and there. Sometimes I don't, and I'm not surprised by that at all anymore. It doesn't worries me. So, some of my clients have patients or friends, family that I do Reiki with. Sometimes they do feel the Reiki flowing in the form of vibration. Sometimes they don't feel anything, but I know it's already there and it's working.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think some people are very good transmitters and some people are good receivers, and you sort of flow in between. And I think when you are choosing someone to work with, there is a bit of yin and yang stuff happening as well, which is why it's great that we've got a male Reiki master and a female Reiki master with us today. So take your pick, basically, depending on how you're feeling.
Yeah.
It depends definitely on the individual, on the healer as well. Sometimes I'm not capable of doing Reiki when I have my own issues. We have our own issues too.
Yeah.
And then I just have to say that, okay. And I don't even offer Reiki. When I do Reiki, because I don't do it as a business or anything like that, I usually when I do Reiki, I just do after, let's do it. Would you like to get some? Because I already told you that I'm experimenting with Reiki, not just for healing. I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but trying to enhance meditation. And I have a group of friends who are interested in that, and just something. It's a different way of using the Reiki, but it's basically the same life force.
So how does that work? You basically get a group of friends together and then you're doing Reiki at the same time while they are meditating?
Yeah, at the beginning when I did the Reiki sessions, I always just, ask the permission of the people, or when they requested to have a Reiki, yes, okay, I'm going to do the Reiki on you in one-on-one or in distance. But then I had the idea to let them participate, let them do something for their own good, let them acknowledge that they have to do something as well to get better. If they cannot just sit around and continue their life the way they do and expect the miracle to happen. Yes, miracle happens, but if someone keeps drinking the same amount of alcohol or abusing themselves emotionally or physically, it's going to cause trouble. So I asked them, okay, let's do the Reiki. I'm more than happy. Can I ask you to meditate while I do the Reiki? I asked my mom, she's 70. I asked my sister, and they know about Reiki through me, but to them it's completely Chinese. I mean,
Chinese. Not Japanese, Chinese.
I mean, but they, for
what,
my
you want me
sake,
to do what? You want me to sit still and do nothing?
it's foreign for where I'm from. It's yes, we know it. Some of us heard about it, some of us don't.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as here would be.
Yeah.
And
actually. And what about your Maria in Colombia? I guess do people in Colombia know about Reiki, or is it quite foreign for them too?
I know, they do know. They know, and a lot of my friends ask for some distance healing.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. It is amazing how it works. How distant healing works. You can, well, at least in my experience, I can see the person. I can even talk to the person while I'm doing the healing, distance healing. So they usually call me. It's getting more and more popularity, I think, in Colombia. A lot of people opening up to this beautiful technique, and they feel the results they experience. But as Balint was saying, it's important always to remind them that it's 50-50 work. So we do a part, but they do have to do some of the work. They have to, if when we do a session, for example, and there's some information that comes through, say, for example, you now need to go and do this, or you need to start doing that, or you need to stop doing this. They have to do the tasks that came up as a result of the Reiki. So, for example, some people that are quite ungrounded, and then I say to them, please go and walk in nature, go and take a walk, and take your shoes off, or do some meditation, or talk to this person, and there's always something different for each person that we see. But if they don't do anything, so they come back to the next session and they didn't do a thing, then there's not a way for them to improve. So you always have to remind them that that they are an essential, of course, part of the healing. So we initiate the process, but it's part, it's their responsibility to.
I guess they need to embody it then, huh?
Of course, yeah, they need to take part on the process.
So I'm quite interested because, initially I thought Reiki was just energy healing, but you're saying information comes through. Balint, have you had information come through, or you were just sort of like sending through huge lightning waves and going?
I mean, I had my informations, but I wouldn't say that during Reiki, just in general.
Yeah.
One of the most profound and the most amazing experience that I had happened after my master initiation. It was just, I can't put it into words, but it was incredible. Most of the time it happens in dream states, or these days it happens in meditation as well. So that's incredible, receiving knowledge, receiving guidance. Sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's really knowledge. And I ask a question and it's just there. I didn't know the answer before, but then a complete formula or a device appears in my mind and I know how it looks, how it functions. Perfect. Let it do.
Yeah. So you're tapping into like the divine intelligence or just the unified conscious intelligence field. Because actually, Jeff, that reminds me, because what the animal whisperer that we had, Greg Bushell, who, he actually, his girlfriend made him go and do a Reiki course. And then all of a sudden he could talk to animals. That was one of the side effects of doing Reiki. Presumably because it lifts your vibrations, or you begin to start paying attention to, how would you explain it?
I believe the vibration and your intention, you want to walk this path, in my opinion, and you are putting into a completely different scenario than you were before. And it depends on the individual, but it can take on many, many forms. To me, it was just the very first, this huge experience that I was referring to was I asked the question, and yes, during dream time, I experienced teaching. Then at one point, I noticed all of us know everything that we need to know. It's just almost like locked away, just like you were saying. We just have to tap into it. We just have to open that door. And
oh no, I was just playing a Dragon and Dungeons game yesterday and I didn't get the key for the treasure. So I think the universe is telling me I've still got a couple of things locked away that I can't access.
Not yet, but wait.
Not yet, but I hopefully will. Oh, that's really exciting. And in terms of people feeling better, are there any sort of things stories or cases that really stay with you, Maria?
Oh yeah. I have lots of stories. Look, it depends. Each person needs something different, right? So for a person that comes, let's say someone that has received Reiki for a long time, and then they just come for, let's say, they need a touch-up, let's say. Then a lot of people have, for example, experienced, finally I'm able to sleep tonight. I haven't been able to sleep for many days and so on, for example. It's a minimal thing. Some of the people that I have told you that they come in a crisis, they come crying, they arrive and they're in the middle of this crisis and so on. When they leave like peace and calm. I had a lady who was a nurse, and she used to come and she said that Reiki was like a spiritual Valium.
Spiritual Valium, I like that.
She called it spiritual Valium because every time she left like feeling so peaceful and relaxed. So she called it that.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are going through really difficult times in their lives. So when someone like that comes to me, we set up a series of sessions. So we work together for a period of time. And usually we set up like a 6-month program. And for people like that, I have had a few of my clients whose life have completely changed. And what's happened is the more you receive Reiki, the more light in your body, the more you rebalance, and your vibration starts raising. And as you raise your vibration, the things you attract in your life are completely different. So you change as a result. The life and whatever happens around you changes, and the life completely kind of goes back on track. So I've had a few of my clients that have done that with me, and they the life before and after is completely different.
That's actually really interesting because last week Jeff and I interviewed Debbie Irvine talking about the healing power of dreams, and she was talking about the healing crisis. And I find that myself as well, is that often people with the really serious diseases or accidents and all things, they basically are in a crisis, and it's going to take them between 3 and 6 months, if not longer, to figure out what they're doing wrong. What needs to change.
Exactly.
Have you had any experiences like that yourself, Balint?
Yes, plenty. And it, breaks my heart that we go that far and we don't take care of ourselves the way we should and the way we could. If we would be living a balanced life emotionally on every level, we wouldn't get probably to the situation where we have to seek, oh my God, someone save me, let me take that magic pill. So probably it would be great if we could, just like Maria was saying, paying attention to what we are doing, how we are doing, and if we want to improve our situation, we want to improve our health, just to go and see someone sooner is the better. Get the conversation started and rolling, and do not wait until it goes really down. We can go really down, and that's never good. And when it happened through my father, just grasping the last straws, that's no good for anyone. I mean, yes, that was his experience. He had to go through that. I completely believe that. I had to go through what I experienced with him, absolutely. But let's do it differently.
If your father hadn't been that ill, maybe you wouldn't have found Reiki.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I'm going to follow up on that, but I'm just going to apologize or just sort of say we've been doing musical chairs in the studio. We've had the universal egg beater deciding that we need to mix our energies on different chairs, but we are all now fixed, so you're not going to get seasick watching us. Thanks to the technical prowess of Jeff, we are back.
Thank you, Jeff.
I am
Thank you,
Julia.
Jeff.
We've got Maria and Balint, two Reiki Masters, and Jeffrey Shaw in the studio. Jeff, you've been listening, and I'm not going to ask you a question now because I think you need a few minutes to recover.
Can I tell you a little story about what we were just talking about? Yeah. And so I wrote a little story to illustrate what happened. So I think it was December. I don't remember. In summer, I went to the Gold Coast and I went in the water, and I was kind of drowning.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it the first time you were at the Gold Coast?
No. I've been here 20 years, and the first time this happened to me.
Is it?
Yes. And as soon as I saw myself, I was in trouble. So I noticed. Look, I couldn't get out. I was getting in, and the waves were getting me. I didn't have enough time to breathe between waves. I knew I was in trouble. So I raised my hand. The lifesavers were already watching me, and they went in straight away and they took me out. I was fine. As soon as I noticed I'm in trouble, I raised my hand and they were ready to take me out. Okay. Yeah. So what does this say? One thing is, for example, in my case, and the story was that I, first of all, ignored the warnings. When I went in the water, there were holes in the ground, and I knew from because I come from the coast, so I know the water. I know if you get in the water and the sand has holes, there's a strong current and you need to be careful. I ignored that. I still got in, and I still went further than I should have because I'm short, and I should have been. shouldn't have gone further than I could. I could be up on my feet. Okay, so as I ignore warnings, first thing. Second, what I wanted to tell people is, if you wait too long to ask for help, it might be too late. And I'm not saying that it's late to ask for help when you need healing, but we were saying about the story about the car when you run out of fuel. To restore a car when it actually turns off because there's no fuel, as you men will know, mechanical engineer, I have done it, so I know. it is not an easy job to get that car running again. And so if we start noticing that we're drowning and we raise our hand and we say, I need help, then we get out of trouble really quickly. But if we wait until we really run out of oxygen and they have to take us out and, give us CPR and it takes a lot longer to restore our health and our balance. So it's that story of, I wish that people would listen a little more to their own selves and ask for help as quickly as possible. But of course, if they don't, then we can help anyway. Only it takes a little longer. And so that's when, I've had to help people with longer periods of time to get them back on the road and on track. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you for sharing that story, Maria. So our resident lifesaver, Jeffrey Shaw, in the studio. Would you like what did that remind you of?
That was really good. It was a great analogy. Yeah, 100%. So I fully understood exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, being a surf lifesaver, you've got to study the surf. I mean, you have to be instantaneously. Of course, fitness plays a very important part. Interesting that surf lifesavers use the color red and yellow. Obviously, yellow's for the intellect, red's for the power, which you have for red shorts and so forth. But to study the surf, you got to find out instantaneously whether the tide's coming in or going out, and whether it's an onshore or offshore breeze, and what type of equipment you're going to use to go and rescue someone, or whether you need someone else to give you a hand. But you certainly have to look for the gutters and the rips. And quite funny enough, it's the rip that you use to for us surf lifesavers. We use as an elevator to get straight out to the person. It's a very interesting way. Most people say don't get caught in the rip, but the surf lifesavers use it to get out.
And actually, let's talk about that, because that's a vortex, and that actually did come up today because somebody was saying that there are a lot of vortexes in the ocean, and the rip, I guess, is the tide going out, and on a collective basis, there is a lot of vortex, a lot of fear happening at the moment. And as Jeff says, you have to keep yourself fit. You're the lifesavers, you're the healers. Sort of, how do you deal with these sort of the vortexes in the collective consciousness? What are you aware of as in terms of dangers at the moment? What are you seeing people in your circuits being sucked into?
Hey, can I answer that?
Get them out of balance.
Hey, I'll just answer that.
Oh, okay.
Hey, surf's music, and if you study surf, it's like an orchestra. So it comes in sets. The waves start building up, and you get this consistency. So the first one is just the first ripple, and then the second wave comes in, the third and the fourth. Sometimes there might be 5 waves in a set, and then it might be another 6 waves. It could be 2 waves in a set. So if you study music, you'll understand how it all operates. So when you start looking at what you're just talking about, the initial shock and awe and all that stuff, and then you've got to wait to see how it settles in, and then you've got to find out if the wave's going to be a dumper, or it's going to be a spilling wave or a surging wave. The thing here is, you can do a Nikola Tesla when he learnt about energy, was when he got caught on the weir, W-E-I-R, and the current was coming through. When his full body to that current, he was slam dunked onto the weir. But when he turned himself sideways, he created less resistance. So he used current versus less resistance to be able to then move sideways to create that aspect of learning about energy and how it operates. So with surf lifesavers, when the wave comes in, you don't take the full body. If you want to go on the side and take less resistance, that's one thing. But you know what? The secret is to actually dive under the wave. And so when you get the tumbling of the wave, when you dive under, the actual wave, when it starts to break, will flip you back up on the rear end of the wave, and you pop up. And you think, oh, that was pretty easy. No problem at all. Less resistance again.
Just got to be able to put your head in and not be scared of the wave.
Yeah. Is that another analogy of what you're talking about?
Mm. So I get a lot of nodding here from the Reiki Masters. Speak, please, Reiki Masters.
No, it's like studying surf. I mean, surf is like watching an orchestra. And I was watching it years and years ago down at North Burleigh as the waves were coming in. And you know, like an orchestra, and you get the big, deep drums at the back, boom, boom. And of course, you know, that's like the human octave. So when you turn on a stereo system, you're going to turn on the bass, you're going to turn on the subwoofer, and we get that boom, boom, you know, and the wave starts to build. And then it breaks up, you know, out of the water, and then it starts to build. And of course, male voices create that bass, and then the females top it up with their alto and soprano voice. And then, of course, when the wave spills, it might go to the right, it might go to the left. And if you listen to the orchestra, you'll find they have the first string violins and the second string violins. And it's almost like when the wave comes slowly up onto the beach. It's just like the violins, you know, it comes back down. Very interesting.
Yeah. And so that reminds me that basically we're not alone. So how do we, what do we do as Reiki healers to make sure that we are well? Because as Balint was saying, you cannot give if you don't have. So you have to be in a balanced state in order for you to actually give some Reiki. And you have to recognize when you're low, when you're running low, and when you need some help. And so you surround yourself with the different instruments, right? The people that can also help you when you are not feeling at your best, because we have ups and downs, and that's normal life. That's cycles in our life. We're going to go through difficult moments. We're going to be going through our highs and lows. And so we have to watch the wave, right? We have to see, okay, I'm not at my best today. So what am I doing to care for myself, right?
And you have to listen to yourself. You know,
You
I'm
need to-
experiencing it through my family and friends that they don't listen to themselves. They have issues of this or that type. It clearly tells me that they are not listening. They are ignoring the signals. On the other hand, yes, I'll do that sometimes when life is pushing me. I'm not saying that I know all and I'm perfect, but I just had this conversation with my wife on the weekend. Then the difference between the two of us, how much I honor myself whenever I have a need for having a sip of water or having a piece of chocolate or taking a walk at 3 o'clock in the morning, then I just do that because I know that's what I need to do. And I'm listening to myself tremendously. Just touching a rock or talking to a neighbor, it can be any form. Just listening to myself, honoring myself. The body is always giving signals. And not just the body, the whole system altogether.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because that's been a theme with people in my environment that I see them at the mercy of just different mood swings and energy levels, and but I'm also observing what they're doing and what they're not doing and where they're not listening to their body. And they just don't see the cause and effect yet. So I wish we would get more trained. So just out of interest, Balint, you know, you've got kids?
No.
If you had kids, Maria, you've got kids. So sort of how do you introduce that to them? How do you teach them to listen to themselves and honor? Listen to their bodies. How do you teach them to do that?
Well, you know, it is slowly and gently because obviously different ages, and so what I find though is that the little ones know, like they feel things so quickly, but the thing is they forget. So my little one is 9, and he knows, and he, and I sometimes I give him Reiki, and he someone was telling something to me like, no, and I think I need a Reiki session, blah, blah, blah. And he got in the conversation and said, and it does work. He said, Reiki works. And obviously as a kid, he feels that a lot. It's like he feels it like an amplified signal, I feel. And so it is a matter of keep reminding them. And so perhaps the one that is harder for me to remind is my elder, who is 16 at the moment. She's the one that I need to kind of, as a mom, they never listen to the mom. But she would be the hardest one, and I just have to be persistent, right? And so in her case, a distance healing would be the best at the moment, because she is not actually listening to anyone.
Is that open door receptive or not? Closed door, got to do it this way. And I guess this is it. Like Balint, you said, when we get busy in life, we kind of have to put on the blinkers and just focus ourselves like an arrow. Whereas when we're relaxed, and we have time, we can open up. And, let's try this. Let's try this. You're just far more wider and open and receptive.
Okay. I want to come back to music again, because there's a very key component to an orchestra, and that's the conductor. So you guys doing the Reiki work really are the conductor, and it's about you being on top of your game when you come to your patient, and you not only is your instrument all bloody tuned up, but it's your job to do that to your client, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or put them through the service, take the car to the service station to get a grease and oil change. That's what you're doing, isn't it? Working on the lymphatics, and you're working on the hearts, and you're working at all the different internal organs and adrenal glands, aren't you? There's a bit to it.
Yeah.
Can I just jump back to the kids and children just for a second? Even that we don't have kids, but my sister has kids, and her story is an interesting one. She has a condition that comes like every 1 or 2 month, and it takes her down for a day. And she has 3 kids, 2 twins, and the third daughter. And the twins are 15 years old, but since very early, as early as 2 years old, I would say, one of them used to go to my sister when she was having this period problem, and went to her and usually put his hands on her head and shoulders and telling her, "Mommy, I'm healing you." Back in those days, there was no word about Reiki for them. I was obviously just getting that, but it was incredible. And I knew the story, but I just had this conversation recently with my sister, and it just blew my mind that without any introduction, without any initiation, he went to the mommy and helped her to get better and better and better.
That's a wonderful story, Balint. Thank you for sharing. And I did think of a story earlier, and I will share it now that you've done that, because the third Reiki Master that I know that can't make it today, Dragan Buche, who is from Yugoslavia, I've done work with him in the dream time, and it seems to me that, and he's very gifted in the healing as well, but he's also an engineer. And he does martial arts. So it's kind of interesting, because when I travel off-world with him, it's just he connected, that there are different planets and different dimensions where our souls go to before we come onto this earth, and where we just know how to do that energetic healing. And he was showing very clearly that whole team, that whole planet, his whole race from there was just backing him up and just wanting to get active here. So he's got this whole, sort of whole support system and this whole planet that you can tap into to do the healing. And it, it sounds like your niece is from, just one of those one of
Easily
those
could be.
families too. And hopefully, if we're talking about the collective and the waves and the music, and that's what I really enjoy is that there are more and more people who are becoming comfortable. We can talk about Reiki now. A lot of people are open to it. It's not black magic or it's not woohoo anymore. People are becoming receptive, and the next generations are coming in, and they can just do it naturally without even.
Julia, just before I got started with the Reiki, I had some, on top of my father's issue, I had some personal issues as well. And I seeked the best guys that I knew in my area, in my group of friends, and I had 3 of them. They were really outside of my realm. They had an Indian guru. They visited very often, and they got teachings of incredible knowledge that I was never studying or anything like that. So that's why I went to them, because I knew that they were a lot higher level than myself. So I went for advice, and through the discussion and conversation, they told me something that really shocked me, that they were in the game for, let's say, 25, 30 years at that time. And they said that the change that they see around themselves in the world general is incredible. A huge wave of transformation is happening through, you can name it, you can put any labels on it, through Reiki, through any other type of being open, being reaching out to others. So I hope that that's the case. I don't have the knowledge that they do, but what they told me, it was really, I'm an optimistic guy generally, so I need this, I need to see the light at the end of the tunnel, not the machine guns approaching, and they were giving me that, yes, from what our experiences are telling, the good change is coming.
Yeah, I thank you for that, because the kids are watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and as the 2 of you were talking earlier about the whole thing, I was really thinking that this is the next generation, the avatars, the airbenders, waterbenders, the healing benders.
I watch that.
Well, yeah, we all do because it's relevant.
I watch the cartoons.
All that work, all that communication, bringing in the high dimensions, and we have Barbara Simpson joining us, saying she agrees she's witnessed her niece do this for her sister when she was unwell. Little treasures. So it sounds like Maria's busting.
Yeah, I want to say something. Because one thing that we haven't talked about, we've talked about healing on people. But Reiki can be used on plants, on animals, on things, on anything.
Yeah.
And situations,
conflicts,
the whole country situation. You can use Reiki on anything. And just a quick story, just so you laugh a little bit. If my husband is listening, he's gonna go, "Oh, yeah, you did it." But back when he came to Australia, he's into planting and into doing what's not kombucha. What's the other one? Kefir, and he wanted to make his kefir, and at the beginning it was really difficult for him when he was just starting in Australia, and his kefir wasn't taking off. And if you know, kefir is a living thing, and it kept dying, so he had to get another batch, and he was getting there really desperate, and I sneakily went behind him and like, oh God, and I started doing Reiki on the kefir. And as I was doing Reiki on the kefir, it started bubbling up. Bloop, 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 and I was like, oh God, thank you. And it started bubbling up. And this kefir was so active that he kept, taking things out because it was so active. But it was amazing. As I was doing the Reiki on it, it started doing it. It wasn't like I went back and saw it the next day. It was while I was there. So that was fantastic to observe how that happened immediately. And we do that to the plants too. We do Reiki on the plants. And a few months ago, I think you had someone here talking about air bending. Yeah, and I was thinking, but when I do that to the plants, they move. So, it's
They
amazing.
respond. Yeah.
Yeah, they respond. They kind of do this kind of movement when
And that's the connection. I was driving down the ICB and, I got stuck at the traffic light. And I was just looking at the tree and admiring it. And then the wind was rustling it. And the tree was responding. That's why Ken was saying, oh, you're airbending. I'm going, no, I'm just looking at the tree and it's responding to me. I'm actually moving it. But yeah, there's the interconnectedness, which I guess goes back to how it works. If you go off the, if you just work off the paradigm that we can all connect energetically. And I think Jeff's put up Einstein's quote a couple of times that everything is energy, there is no matter, it's just vibration. There you go. Concerning matter, we've all been wrong. What we called matter is energy whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. So technically, if I want to disappear out of here, I just have to vibrate so fast. I will not be perceptible to your senses anymore, but I'm not there yet, so you'll still have to put up with me for a bit. The magic of Reiki with Balint and Maria. Maria, you're teaching Reiki, and you both do Reiki by long distance and in person. If people who are watching now or in the future find you, how do they best get in touch with you? You want to say first?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page where it's called Reiki Uplift. I can be found. I usually do weekly group sessions. But yes, of course, I would be open to anyone who would need any support.
Yes, and I have the Healing Butterfly Touch. I have a Facebook page too, and I have a website that perhaps is in there. The Healing Butterfly Touch, there it is. So I teach. I have Reiki shares, and I see people all the time. So if you want to reach out, that I'm more than happy to talk to you.
And these two are also distance healers. So if you have family in lockdown or overseas that you can't reach, Balint and Maria can still help you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Jeff, did you have any closing remarks?
That's great. Great to have you here. Very brilliant.
Thank you so much
Thank you for having us.
You should have done some Reiki on that camera, mate.
Oh, we should have. Maybe that was all the energy.
Yes, I'll tell you a story about it later.
Oh, we'll have a cup of Reiki. Hey, stay in the green room, and then we'll sign off.
So thank you very much for listening to all of us. May the force stay with you and uplift you, and have a wonderful week. Bye.